My name is Tessa Allen, and I was 17 when my mom left me at a highway rest stop to teach me a lesson. She did not yell this time. That was the worst part. She just pointed at a bench and said, "Sit, think, learn." I laughed because I thought it was a bluff. My family never did consequences. They did silence. They did guilt. They did smiles for strangers and cold shoulders for me. But then she got back in the car. I saw the door shut. I saw the brake lights blink off. I felt the engine pull away, like she had rehearsed it. I stood there with my backpack and my pride and a phone that was already dying. I told myself she would circle back in a minute, that this was a scare tactic, that any mother would stop. 5 minutes passed. 10. 20. She never came back. When my screen went black, something in me snapped into place. If she wanted me to panic, I would not give her the satisfaction. If she wanted me to crawl back grateful, I would make my own way. So I started walking. 6 miles along the shoulder, counting my steps so I would not count my fear. Cars blasted by close enough to shake my hair. I kept my eyes forward and my jaw locked, because the moment I cried, I knew I would not stop. I did not hear from them after that. Not for years. I grew up fast, built a life that could not be taken from me, and told myself the past was over. Until yesterday, when a baby shower invite arrived with their names on the return address. I ripped it in half. And that is when the real lesson began. The fight started the way our fights always started, with something small that was never actually small. We were on a family road trip, packed into the car like we were pretending to like each other. My mom, Catherine, had her hands locked on the steering wheel and her voice locked on me. "Stop slouching," she said. "You look ungrateful." I stared out the window. I was tired of being corrected like I was a mistake that could be ironed flat. I was tired of the way she praised my siblings for breathing while she measured my breathing like it was wrong. I said, "I am not slouching. I am sitting." She glanced at me like I had insulted her in public. "You always have to push back. Why cannot you just be pleasant for once?" That word, pleasant, was her favorite weapon. It meant quiet. It meant obedient. It meant invisible. I felt something hot crawl up my throat. "Maybe I push back because you keep pushing first," I said. The car got colder even though the air conditioner was broken. My little brother kept tapping buttons on his game console like he could drown us out. My sister hummed to herself, too young to understand that our family only sounded cheerful when there was an audience. Catherine pulled into a rest stop like she was parking the argument. "Everyone out," she ordered. Outside, she did not lower her voice. She never did when she thought she was right. "Look at you," she said. "You cannot even pretend to be happy. You embarrass me." I laughed again, sharp and bitter. "You embarrass yourself." Her face hardened. She looked past me at the vending machines and the families walking in and out, like she was making sure there were witnesses. Then she did something I did not expect. "Why do not we leave her here?" she snapped, not to me, but to the air, like I was a problem she was tired of carrying. "Maybe a little space will teach you what it means to be part of this family." I said, "Fine. Leave me." I meant it as a dare. I meant it as a way to call her bluff. Catherine did not blink. She opened the back door, grabbed my backpack, and shoved it into my arms. "Sit there," she said, pointing at a bench under a light pole. "Think about what you have done. When you are ready to act like a member of this family, we will come back." I watched her walk away and I waited for the pause, for the moment she would turn around and say she was kidding. She did not. She got into the driver's seat. My brother did not look up. My sister stared at me with wide eyes like she was watching a movie she was not supposed to see. I stepped forward. "Mom, stop. This is crazy." Catherine looked at me through the windshield with that calm, controlled expression she used on teachers and neighbors. "This is consequences," she mouthed. Then the car rolled. At first it was slow, like she was giving me a final chance to sprint and beg. Then she pressed the gas and the distance opened like a wound. I stood frozen on the concrete, my hands tight on my backpack straps, watching my own family disappear down the ramp. The first wave was disbelief. The second wave was rage. The third wave was fear that I refused to name. I checked my phone. One red bar. No charger. No cash. I walked into the restroom, splashed water on my face, and stared into the mirror like I could talk myself into being older, tougher, safer. I tried to ask a woman by the sinks if she had a charger. She looked at me, looked away, and said she was in a hurry. I tried the front desk, but the clerk said the payphone outside had not worked in months. I walked back outside and sat on the bench like my mom had ordered, because some part of me still thought obedience would summon her back. 5 minutes, 10, 20, no car. When my phone went dark, I felt the world tilt. I could stay and wait, praying my mother would remember she had a child or I could move. And the more I sat there, the more I realized something sickening. She was not going to come back quickly, because coming back quickly would mean admitting she had gone too far. So I stood up. I looked at the sign for the next exit and read the distance out loud like it was a plan. 6 miles, a truck stop, a gas station, lights, people. If I made it there, I could charge my phone. I could call someone who would believe me. I could stop being a lesson and start being a person. I tightened my shoelaces and started walking. The first mile was pure adrenaline. My anger kept my legs moving, and every time a car passed, I imagined it was my mom coming back. And I hated myself for hoping. By mile 2, the heat started winning. My shirt stuck to my skin. My throat felt like sandpaper. I kept my eyes on the white line so I would not look at the highway and picture my body on it. A horn blared and a truck roared past too close. I stumbled, caught myself, and felt my heart slam against my ribs. That was when I understood how reckless this was. 17 is old enough to argue back, but not old enough to be safe alone on a highway. I pulled my phone out again, even though it was dead, just to hold something that felt like a lifeline. I thought about turning around, going back to the rest stop, and asking strangers for help until someone finally did. But then I pictured my mother telling the story later. She will exaggerate. She will say you ran off. She will say you are dramatic. She will say she was teaching you responsibility. I needed proof. I needed my own version of the truth to exist outside her mouth. So I started taking mental pictures. The rest stop name, the time on the big digital sign at the ramp, the exact words she said. Sit there. We are leaving without you. By mile 3, my stomach cramped. I slowed down, forced myself to breathe, and tried not to panic. I made rules to stay alive. Keep walking. Do not accept help from anyone who makes your skin crawl. If a car stops, stay on the other side of the guardrail. If a man gets out, do not get close. I laughed once, just a dry little sound, because my mother would have called this paranoia. She would have said I was being difficult again. She never understood that I did not feel safe in her world, and now I did not feel safe in the real one either. Around mile 4, my feet started to burn. My sneakers were cheap, and I could feel blisters forming. I tried to think of something else, but my brain kept looping the same question. How could she do that to me? Not just leave me, but leave me with the kind of silence that said I deserved it. When I hit mile 5, I saw the truck stop sign in the distance, and relief hit so hard it almost made me cry. I swallowed it down. Cry later. Survive now. Then, just before mile 6, a semi slowed behind me. My whole body tensed. The truck stayed a few car lengths back, blinking its hazard lights, matching my pace like it was studying me. I moved closer to the guardrail and prepared to run. The truck rolled to a stop ahead of me, angled so it blocked the shoulder from oncoming traffic. The driver door opened. A man climbed down slowly, hands visible, not rushing. "Hey," he called, keeping his voice normal. "You okay out here?" I did not answer. I backed up a step, ready to bolt. He nodded like he understood. "I am not getting closer. I just saw you walking and figured you might need water. That is all." He set a sealed bottle on the ground and stepped back. Only then did I notice the details that made him feel less threatening. A wedding ring, a company logo on his shirt, a dashboard camera inside the cab. Practical things. Not a stranger with nothing to lose. I took the bottle without crossing the distance between us. The plastic was cold against my fingers. I twisted the cap and drank like my body had been waiting for permission. "What is your name, kid?" he asked. "Tessa," I said, and my voice cracked with exhaustion. "I am Ron," he said. "Listen, I can call the police for you, or I can take you to the truck stop up there and we find someone official. Either way, you should not be on this shoulder." The word police made my stomach flip. I did not want drama. I did not want headlines. I did not want my mom turning this into another story about how hard I was to handle. But I also knew something else. If I did nothing, she would do it again. Maybe not to me, but to someone smaller, someone weaker, someone who could not walk 6 miles. I pointed at his truck. "How do I know you are safe?" Ron nodded again, like he had expected the question. "Smart. Take a photo of my license plate. Take a photo of my face. Call whoever you trust when we get your phone charged. You sit on the passenger side with the door unlocked. If you do not like anything, you get out." He even offered me his driver license to hold while I decided. That was when the fear inside me shifted. It did not disappear, but it made room for something else. Control. I took my own phone, dead as a rock, and held it up like a camera anyway, pretending I was recording him. Ron did not protest. He waited. "Okay," I said finally. "Truck stop. No detours." "No detours," he agreed. "And Tessa, I am sorry. Whatever happened, you did not deserve it." As I climbed into the cab, my legs shook, not from the steps but from the moment. I had walked 6 miles because my mom wanted to win an argument. Now I was sitting beside a stranger because I refused to lose my life. Ron parked under bright lights where other trucks lined up like a small city. He did not touch my backpack. He did not ask personal questions. He walked me straight to the counter and told the cashier, "I found this kid on the highway. She needs a charger and a safe place to sit." The cashier looked at me, really looked, like she could see the fear I was trying to hide. She pulled a cord from a drawer and pointed to a booth near the window. "Sit there, honey, and you are not leaving until we figure this out." My hands shook as I plugged my phone in. The screen lit up with 1%, like it was waking from a coma. Notifications flooded in all at once. No missed calls, no frantic texts, nothing. That emptiness hit harder than the walk. My mom had not even tried to check on me. The lesson had not ended. It had barely started. Ron sat across from me but kept his distance, giving me space like he knew I needed it. I stared at my phone until it reached 5% and then I opened the dial pad. I did not call my mom. Not yet. I called the only number I could remember without my contacts. My best friend. She answered on the second ring, and I did not even say hello. I said, "I need you to listen." And then I told her everything in one breath before I could chicken out. There was a pause, and then her voice went sharp. "Where are you?" "I am calling my dad. We are calling the police. Do not move." My chest tightened. "I do not want to get my mom arrested," I whispered. "Tessa, she left you on a highway," my friend said. "She already did the dangerous part. You are just telling the truth." Ron stood up and walked to the counter. He told the cashier he would stay until an officer arrived. The cashier nodded like this was not her first emergency at midnight. 15 minutes later, 2 patrol cars rolled in. A female officer came inside first. She introduced herself, asked my name, asked my age, asked if I was hurt. I answered like I was reciting facts about a stranger. Then she asked the question that made my throat close. "Who left you?" I told her. "My mom, Catherine Allen." Saying my mom name out loud to a cop felt like betrayal. Then I remembered the bench, the brake lights, the silence. And it stopped feeling like betrayal. It started feeling like accountability. The officer stepped outside to make calls. When she came back, her expression was different, tighter. "Your mother is on the phone," she said. "She wants to speak to you." My heart hammered. I took the phone anyway. "Tessa," my mom said, calm as ever. "Where are you?" "A truck stop," I said. "6 miles from where you left me." There was a breath. Then her tone turned annoyed, like I had inconvenienced her. "You were supposed to sit and wait. You were supposed to think." I gripped the phone so hard my fingers hurt. "I did think. I thought about how easy it was for you to drive away." "Do not be dramatic," she snapped. "You are making this bigger than it is." "I was coming back." "When?" I asked. "After dinner. After you cooled off. After you proved your point." Silence. The officer watched my face while I listened, like she could tell when the manipulation was happening. My mom tried again, softer now, performing remorse because there was an audience. "Honey, just come home. We can talk. You embarrassed me enough." That last line was a gift, because it proved what mattered to her. I handed the phone back to the officer. "I do not feel safe going back with her tonight," I said, and I meant it. The officer nodded like she had been waiting for that answer. "Okay," she said. "We are going to do this properly." She asked if there was another adult I trusted, a relative, a teacher, anyone. I thought about the women in my life. Most of them were connected to my mom, loyal to her by default. But one name came to mind. Someone my mom did not control. "Mrs. Harper, my art teacher." The officer called. To my shock, Mrs. Harper answered, and within an hour she was there, hair pulled back, eyes fierce like she would fight the world for me if she had to. When she hugged me, I finally let myself breathe. But as we walked out, I saw my mom's name written on a form the officer was holding. Child endangerment. Investigation. Report. And I realized something. My mom lesson was about power. She thought she could take mine away. Tonight, the power was changing hands. The next weeks were ugly in a quiet way. There were phone calls from numbers I did not recognize. There were messages that swung from sweet to furious when I did not answer fast enough. There were relatives I barely knew leaving voicemails about forgiveness, as if forgiveness was a bill I owed. The police report did not disappear the way my mom problems usually did. A social worker interviewed me at school. Another interviewed my siblings. My mom had to explain, on record, why she thought abandoning a minor on a highway was parenting. She tried to rewrite it. She said I ran out. She said I threatened to hurt myself. She said she was afraid. She said she only drove around the block. The officer had already checked the cameras at the rest stop. The truth was not flexible. Still, my mom did not apologize. Not once. She blamed me for making her look bad. She blamed the officer for overreacting. She blamed Mrs. Harper for taking my side. She blamed everyone except the woman in the driver's seat. My dad finally called, and his voice sounded tired, like he had been losing battles in that house for years. He asked me to come home so things could go back to normal. Normal, I thought, is you watching her hurt me and calling it peace. I told him I was not coming back. Mrs. Harper helped me file paperwork for temporary guardianship until I turned 18. She helped me find a part-time job. She helped me apply for scholarships. She did not ask me to forgive. She asked me what I wanted. The answer shocked me. I wanted my mother to understand that I was not hers to break, so I made a decision that felt like swallowing glass. I cut them off. I changed my number. I stopped checking the mailbox. I blocked social media accounts one by one. The day I turned 18, I signed my own lease on a tiny studio and slept on the floor because I could not afford a bed. I was exhausted and terrified and happier than I had ever been. Years passed. College classes, late shifts, friends who became family, therapy that taught me a word my mother hated: boundaries. Every once in a while, I would hear a rumor through a friend of a friend. My mom telling people I was ungrateful. My mom telling people I was unstable. My mom telling people she did everything she could. I did not correct her. I let the silence do what it always did. It protected her. And then yesterday, after all that distance, a thick envelope appeared in my mailbox with handwriting I knew like a scar. A baby shower invite. Their names printed neatly on the return address, like nothing had happened, like they had the right to reach into my life whenever it suited them. I tore it up. I swept it into the trash. But later that night, I could not sleep, because one torn invitation had brought the highway back under my feet, and I realized I was done being a lesson. I was ready to be the one teaching it. Yesterday should have ended when I tore that invitation up and dumped it in the trash, but the paper did not stay dead. It followed me through the night like the hum of tires on a highway. In the morning, I fished the pieces out, smoothed them on my kitchen table, and stared until my eyes stung. Baby shower. Saturday, 2 p.m. An address I had not seen in years. Their names on the return label, printed like they still had the right to put a stamp on my life. My first instinct was simple. Ignore it. Let them wonder. Let the silence do to them what it used to do to me. Then I pictured a room full of women laughing, passing tiny socks around, taking photos under pastel balloons, and my mother in the center of it all, glowing with her favorite thing in the world: an audience. I could already hear her voice, sweet and polished, telling some version of our history that made her look brave and me look broken. She would say I was a troubled teen. She would say I ran away. She would say she tried everything. And everyone would nod because people love a mother who claims she suffered for her child. I sat there, fingers hovering over my phone, and I realized what that invitation really was. It was not a peace offering. It was a test. Would I stay quiet and let her rewrite me again, or would I finally take control of the story she stole? I called Mrs. Harper first. We had not spoken much in the last few years, but she picked up like no time had passed. I told her about the invite, about the return address, about the way my stomach had flipped the second I saw that handwriting. She listened, then said one sentence that steadied me. You do not owe them your presence, but you do owe yourself your truth. Next, I called my best friend, the same one who had answered that night at the truck stop. She laughed when I told her I was thinking about going, not because it was funny, but because she understood what it meant. The fact that they mailed you something means they think they are safe now, she said. They think time erased what they did. So what are you going to do? That was the moment I stopped thinking like the 17-year-old on the shoulder and started thinking like the woman who had built a life from nothing. I was not going to show up to scream. I was not going to throw a cake, flip a table, or do anything that would let my mother point and say, "See? This is why we could not handle her." My revenge was going to be clean, clear, impossible to twist. I pulled up the old case number from an email Mrs. Harper had forwarded years ago. I requested the report again. I printed the pages that mattered. Date, location, minor abandoned, statement taken. I dug out a photo from my cloud storage that I had not opened in forever. A blurry shot of a truck door with a company logo, taken at the truck stop when my phone finally came back to life. I had taken it without thinking, just proof that I was not imagining that night. Under the photo was a timestamp. Then I did something I had avoided for years. I searched their address online. The same house, same street, same perfect lawn that used to make neighbors say your family looks so nice. I stared at the map until the old anger started to rise. Then I forced it down. Not anger. Focus. I wrote a letter, not to mail, but to read. 1 page. No poetry, no begging. Just facts and consequences. I practiced out loud until my voice stopped shaking. I rehearsed the moment she would try to cut me off, and I rehearsed what I would say back. You do not get to silence me anymore. I also planned an exit because revenge is pointless if you let it trap you again. I would go in. I would say what I came to say. And I would leave while I still had the power. Friday night, I barely slept. I kept thinking about the question I never answered at 17. If the people who raised you can abandon you so easily, what does family even mean? Saturday morning, I got dressed like I was going to a job interview, not a baby shower. Simple. Calm. I put the printed report and my letter into a plain folder. I did not wear anything that would make me look dramatic, because I knew my mother would be watching for any excuse. Before I left, I stood in front of my door with my keys in my hand and asked myself one last time if I was doing this for them. No, I was doing this for the girl on the shoulder who kept walking because she refused to beg. When I pulled up to the house, cars lined both sides of the street. I could hear music through the open windows. Laughter. The same laughter I used to fake. I sat in my car for a full minute, breathing, feeling my heartbeat thump against the seatbelt. Then I picked up the folder, stepped out, and walked toward the front door like I belonged there. Because the truth belonged there. The moment I rang the bell, I almost turned around. Not because I was scared of my mother, but because I was suddenly aware of how easy it would be to keep living without this. I had survived without closure. I had built strength without apologies. But then the door opened and I saw a face I had not seen in years. My sister Ava stood there, visibly pregnant, cheeks flushed with excitement, one hand holding a ribbon. Her smile started, then froze, like her brain could not decide if I was real. Tessa, she whispered. Hearing my name in her voice cracked something inside me. I had not come for my mother. I had come for this. For the next generation. For the chance that the family pattern would stop here. Behind her, the living room was crowded with women holding gift bags and paper plates. Someone squealed, thinking I was another guest. Then my mother appeared, gliding forward with a hostess smile so practiced it could have been stitched to her face. Catherine stopped when she saw me. For a second her expression slipped. Just a flash of shock. Then it snapped back into place. Tessa, she said softly, like she was performing concern. You are here. Ava turned to her. Mom, you did not tell me she was coming. Her tone carried confusion and something sharper underneath, like she had just realized the invitation was not as innocent as she thought. My mother looked at Ava, then back at me, and I could see the calculation in her eyes. She was deciding how to control this. She reached for my arm like we were close. I stepped back before her fingers touched me. I am not here to ruin your party, I said, loud enough for the nearest group to hear. I am here because you invited me, and because I will not be your secret anymore. The room went quiet in that fast, unnatural way, like someone turned down the volume on everyone at once. My mom's smile tightened. This is not the time, she murmured, her voice still gentle. Please do not do this. I looked around the room. Faces turned toward me, curious, wary, hungry for context. I felt the old urge to shrink, to apologize for existing. It passed like a wave, and then it was gone. This is exactly the time, I said, because this is a room full of women celebrating motherhood. And I need you to hear what kind of mother you were to me. My dad was there too, standing near the kitchen doorway. older than I remembered, eyes tired in the same way they had sounded on the phone years ago. He took a step forward like he wanted to stop me, then stopped himself. He knew. He had always known. Ava swallowed hard. Tessa, what is she talking about? I opened the folder, pulled out the police report, and held it like a mirror. My voice stayed steady because I had practiced, but I could still feel the tremor under my ribs. When I was 17, I was left at a highway rest stop. Not lost, not wandering, left. It was meant to teach me a lesson. I walked 6 miles on the shoulder before a trucker helped me get somewhere safe. The police filed a report. This is it. A woman near the couch gasped. Another whispered, "Oh my God." My mom's face went pale, then flushed. She tried to laugh, a tiny, dismissive sound. That is not what happened. You are twisting it. I did not move my eyes off her. You can deny it, I said. But you cannot rewrite a document you did not control. You cannot rewrite the cameras at the rest stop. You cannot rewrite the officer who called you that night. My mother stepped closer, voice dropping into that familiar warning tone. Tessa, stop. You are embarrassing yourself. There it was. The same line. The same weapon. I almost smiled because she had not changed at all, and that made my next words easier. No, I said. I am embarrassing you, and that is the difference. Ava stared at the paper, then at my mom. You told me she ran away, Ava said, voice rising. You told me she was dramatic and ungrateful. My mother swung toward her. Ava, honey, you do not understand. Ava took a step back like the truth had heat. Do not honey me, she snapped. Did you leave her? My mom's mouth opened, then closed. My dad finally spoke, voice rough. Catherine, answer her. The room felt like it was holding its breath. My mother looked around, searching for allies, but she had built her power on being believed, and belief dies fast when facts show up. Her voice shook the first time all afternoon. I was trying to teach her respect, she said. She was out of control. She was always fighting me. I thought she would stay there. I thought she would wait. I was coming back. I tilted my head. When? I asked. After dinner. After you proved your point. After you enjoyed the silence. My mom's eyes flashed with anger. You were fine, she said. Nothing happened to you. I turned slightly so everyone could hear the next part. Something did happen. I learned that your love had conditions. I learned that you would risk my safety to win an argument. I learned that no one in this house would protect me if it meant challenging you. And I learned that if I wanted to live, I had to leave you. My dad flinched like the words hit him too. Ava covered her mouth, tears filling her eyes. I hated that I was hurting her, but I also knew she deserved the truth before she brought a child into the same storm. I pulled out the letter I had written, but I did not read the whole thing. I did not need to. I had the room. I had the moment. I had what 17-year-old me never had. A voice people had to listen to. I have not heard from you in years, I said to my mother. Not because you could not find me, but because reaching out would mean admitting what you did. Then you sent a baby shower invitation with your names on it like we are a normal family. Like you did not abandon your daughter on a highway. So here is what I want. And it is simple. I stepped closer, just enough. I want you to say the truth. Out loud. To everyone. And I want you to apologize. Not privately. Not later. Right now. Because if you are about to celebrate becoming a grandmother, then you need to face what you did as a mother. My mother stared at me like she wanted to slap the words out of my mouth. But she could not. Not here. Not with witnesses. Not with Ava watching her like she was seeing a stranger. For a long second she said nothing. Then, very quietly, she whispered, I am sorry. I shook my head once. Not to me, I said. To the room, to your daughter, to the truth. Her jaw tightened. Her eyes darted toward the guests, the decorations, the camera phones that had started to rise in shaky hands. Finally, she spoke louder, voice brittle. I left Tessa at a rest stop when she was 17. I should not have done that. I was wrong. A murmur rippled through the room, half shock, half judgment. I could almost feel her reputation cracking, and I realized this was the price she had avoided for years. Not jail, not a fine. Something she cared about more: being seen. Ava wiped her face, then looked at me. "Why did you not tell me?" she asked. I swallowed. "Because I thought telling the truth would make me the villain in her story," I said. And I was tired of fighting for a place in a family that only loved me when I was quiet. Ava nodded slowly, like something inside her clicked into alignment. She turned to our mother. "You are not hosting this anymore," Ava said. Her voice was calm, but it landed like a hammer. "This is my baby shower, and I will not start my motherhood with lies." My mother stiffened. "Ava." Ava lifted her chin. "Go to the kitchen, or go upstairs, or go anywhere that is not the center of this room. Right now." My dad did not stop her. He just stood there, shoulders slumped, looking like a man who finally understood the cost of his silence. My mother looked around one last time, searching for control. Then she walked away with rigid steps, passing the gift table like it was a stranger. People watched her go. No one stopped her. That was the real revenge. Not my words. The way the room decided she could not hide anymore. I could have stayed. I could have basked in the moment. I could have demanded more, but revenge is not about dragging the past forever. It is about cutting the cord. I closed the folder, held it against my chest, and looked at Ava. "I did not come to take your day," I said. "I came to make sure you did not raise a child in a house where abandonment gets called a lesson." Ava stepped forward and hugged me carefully because of her belly, but tightly enough that I felt her shaking. "Stay," she whispered. "Please. At least for a little while." I shook my head gently. "Not today," I said. "Today I needed to do one thing and I did it. But I will meet you tomorrow. Just us. If you want?" Ava nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. "I want that." As I walked out, my dad followed me to the porch. "Tessa," he said, "I am sorry." I looked at him, and for once I did not soften to make him comfortable. "Sorry does not rewind a highway," I said. "It does not undo 6 miles, but it can change what happens next. Do better for Ava. Do better for that baby." He nodded, eyes wet. "I will try." I got into my car and drove, not home at first, but to the edge of town where the highway signs began. I did not plan it. My hands just turned the wheel like they remembered. When I reached the rest stop, it was smaller than my memory, almost ordinary. Families came and went. Kids ran to the vending machines. A woman laughed as she adjusted a toddler's jacket. I walked to the bench under the light pole. The same spot, or close enough. I sat down and let the air fill my lungs. 17-year-old me had sat here waiting for love that never came. Today, I sat here knowing I did not need it. I stood up, brushed off my jeans, and walked back to my car without looking over my shoulder. If you were me, would you forgive someone who abandoned you? Or would you let the truth be the final goodbye?